here today at this official engagement between the Military High Command and the leadership of the Nigerian media and other stakeholders. This event marks not only 2 years of service by the current service chiefs, but also 2 years of strategic recalibration in the security architecture of our great nation. I've said it over and over that we have seen a renewed vigor. Yes, we are not there yet. Yes, it is still work in progress, but we have seen a renewed vigor. We have seen a renewed commitment. We have also seen a new cohesion and unity within all the parts of our armed forces to ensure that we win this war. We want to especially commend the CDS and other service chiefs for making sure that all of them come together so that they can win this war. Let me also convey the commendation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to our service chiefs for their unshakable commitment, discipline, and patriotism in the discharge of their duties. The nation remains deeply grateful for your sacrifices, which frequently go above and beyond the call of duty. The President's Renewed Hope agenda is anchored on 8 strategic pillars, with strengthening national security for peace and prosperity occupying a central position. This emphasis is deliberate, as peace and security form the cornerstone of national development and economic stability. 2 years ago, when these officers were appointed, Nigeria faced a complex matrix of security challenges: insecurity in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, farmer-herder conflicts in the north central, secessionist agitations in the southeast, oil theft and piracy in the south-south, and other forms of criminality in parts of the southwest. Indeed, the armed forces were stretched on all fronts at that time. Yet, under the strategic leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs, we have witnessed not just a containment of these threats, but a visible reclaiming of our national space physically, psychologically, and operationally. Nigerians can now attest with confidence that our highways are significantly more secure than they were a few years ago. Today, we gather to highlight the milestones, from the successful degradation of the Boko Haram and ISWAP cells in the northeast especially, to the decisive operations against bandit enclaves in the northwest and north central, from improved naval patrols that have drastically cut down crude oil theft and the destruction of illegal refineries, to the relentless air interdictions that have disrupted the logistics and mobility of criminal elements. The scorecard is not only impressive, it is reassuring. That is why this engagement is very crucial. The media, as the fourth estate of the realm, must be a strategic partner in nation building. You are not just chroniclers of events, you are co-creators of national consciousness. When you report on security issues, you are not only informing the public, you are boosting the morale of our citizens and the Nigerian armed forces on the front lines. Since assuming duty, we have noted, the Chief of Defense Staff, how you have adopted a culture of openness and strategic communication. The meeting we are having today is a clear indication of that. This expanded engagement, therefore, is a further demonstration of that commitment to transparency, to collaboration, and to trust. I urge you to continue to deepen that in the interest of our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, As Minister of Information and National Orientation, I've always insisted that security reporting must be responsible, factual, and nation-focused. We must resist, like I said earlier, the temptation to sensationalize or unintentionally serve the agenda of our adversaries. Most often, our media professionals are not aware that this propaganda that these terrorists and criminal elements dish out is actually serving the purpose of those that we are actually fighting as a nation. Let me assure you that the Tinubu administration will continue to support our military, not just with arms and equipment, but with policies that strengthen intelligence gathering, enhance interagency coordination, and promote the welfare of personnel and their families. The media is expected to report not only what has gone wrong, but what is being done right. Highlight the sacrifices of our troops. Tell the story of progress. Balance criticism with context. That is the true calling of responsible journalism. Let me congratulate the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs once again on this milestone. You have restored hope, saved lives, defended our sovereignty, and above all, reminded all of us what it means to serve our dear country. As you present your scorecard today, I urge all stakeholders, particularly my friends in the media, to take note of the progress made and amplify it. It's not always bad story. Let's amplify the progress that we have made. Doing so will serve as a vital moral booster for our gallant officers and men in uniform who work tirelessly day and night to secure our nation and to create an environment where all Nigerians can live, work, and thrive. Thank you for your kind attention, and God bless our armed forces. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning.
And that's one thing we're lacking in Nigeria that is important. Security lessons must be taught right from primary school. You know, we've grown up over time because there's been peace while growing up, so we don't take these things very seriously. The Israel you are talking about, I hope you know that there's a kind of military system they have that every Israeli must go for training. You must serve for 2 years before you leave. So as you speak, everybody above 18 is a military man. So he automatically knows what it is. And then the ones that are not 18 yet, they have these lectures, these programs. They teach them what to do, what to see, what to look out for. We don't have those things. And that's why it's important now that we have challenges like this, we must be able to develop that aspect of security training for our children from the beginning until they grow up. And it brings out the awareness. So you mentioned the issue of the rehabilitation. You know, I always tell people that in war, it is natural that once your enemy surrenders, you can't kill him. And you know, people have held us accountable on such issues. So we too, because Nigeria is a signatory to human rights charter, we are duty bound to obey it. So once there is that, anybody who surrenders, we are bound to receive him and take him and prepare him for prosecution. That's how it is being done. And we'll make sure that those ones that have gone also go through the safe corridor. And safe corridor is where they are de-radicalized until we're sure who they are and their stand by. And I can tell you, those of them that went there have not gone back to anywhere. You'll be hearing reports of no, they are not the ones doing those selling of those arms. Most of the people selling those arms are people that are just doing business on their own. In Maiduguri, you find commercial vehicles, commercial drivers will drive into filling stations, buy full tank. When they go across, they have some arrangement, they can remove some quantity. If you buy NGOs, government officials came in and took hotels and paid for 10 years. Now, if somebody is paying for naturally, so you see, the war economy comes in, and once the war economy comes in, saboteurs will increase to make sure it is prolonged. There are people that are benefiting from it, and I keep on hearing most of the people saying the military doesn't want it to end. I say, who is that? Who is that foolish person that is dying and wants it to continue? I mean, the video, the clip we showed you, these are parents of people. These are fathers, mothers. Just the way we're here, our children are going to school, coming back, we can take them for movies, we can take them. You don't have that liberty to do that. The children are not seeing their parents. Okay, look at that one, that double amputee. Tell me, what can he do again for his family? So these are the things that we need people, Nigerians, to understand, that people are sacrificing so much for this country. And then we need to encourage them. Like you had, the few of them that have gone for Invictus Games felt a sense of belonging, and it gives them new awareness. So those are the things we appeal to Nigerians to always want to support these people. And for all those ones committing crime, whether civilian or not, most times when you hear when the Air Force strikes an area, the next thing you hear is the civilian casualties. I can tell you most of those times that there are people that are trading with the terrorists. Most times before any strike is done, deliberate efforts have been taken. Yes, there could be mistakes, but on most occasions, they are the ones trading with it. So when it hits, they'll come and say, no, they are just civilians. You cannot be, a friend of a thief is a thief. So that is the procedure, and that's how it is. So we tell you that we're working inwardly, checking also our own men. In case we have people like that, we always want to check them, and then those ones from outside. So those are the things we're doing. We're losing to this war we're fighting. I think sometimes people don't really, maybe people think we're still doing Nollywood or Kannywood. No, this is real life situation. People are being killed. We're fighting enemies that don't mean this country well. And the most unfortunate thing on their own part is that they have nothing to lose. They are working on drugs. They are all drugged up most times. So even when you are shooting them and killing, they are coming. And so people feel that they are not scared. No, a lot of them are on drugs. When we arrest them, keep them 3 days. When the drug wears out, the man will be telling you, what is he doing here? Most of them. And then some of them have been brainwashed. So it is by this disarmament program that some of them came to realize that they were being lied to. Their commanders are busy living larger than life, and yet they are the ones suffering. And so those are the issues, and that's why they're unfortunate. Like I've always advised, no country should allow asymmetric warfare or terrorism to start. It is a very, very difficult operation. Americans did 20 years in Afghanistan. How did they end up? With all the technology, with everything they had. So when you are dealing with somebody who believes in what he's doing, it's a very dangerous situation to do. And then so the society must come together with members of the armed forces to defeat that. Otherwise, it will continue to be a problem. So the dying is, and you mentioned that, yes, we don't show pictures. I don't know how many of you know how many people died in Afghanistan. They don't tell you. They don't mention it. Because again, it has effect on morale. The idea of running to go and report, also you are affecting the morale of your troops. And once your men are demoralized, how do you want them to work? So we must always understand these concepts, that it's important that we think of the men that are doing the fight. And that's why we took it upon ourselves that those who are injured, we should not just leave them go like that. Because the people fighting will say, oh, if it happens to me, this is what will happen to me. And not mistakes, but that does not mean we should go out insulting everybody and making it. And the way it looks as if when a soldier dies, we tend to like celebrate it. When a terrorist dies, nothing happens. These are the two things that we need to look at. Are we looking for the money, or we're looking for the continuity of the country and of Nigeria as a nation? Those are the things that I think is very important for us. Modern warfare, yes, we don't produce what we need. Most times, even when we get those things, we have to take them and use them to our own peculiarity, and we're doing the best we can. It has also enabled us to be able to develop some level of expertise on handling of those things. But because we don't produce them, we rely on buying from nations. You don't get them off the shelf. Even with your money, sometimes it's difficult buying those items. But we are doing the best we can to get it. With what we have now, what we are achieving, I think it's almost a miracle we're doing. That I can guarantee you. But again, the president has approved last year signing the DICOM bill. Now what we're doing with DICOM is we're inviting original equipment manufacturers to come to Nigeria and let us produce. Now, if we produce in Nigeria, we'll have the weapons we require. We will save our foreign exchange. We'll be able to employ our own youths. And besides that, we will be able to sell to our countries, our neighboring countries, some of these things. Because even if they have diplomatic issues, militarily, we're all working with all our neighbors. Because we know the danger. The enemy you are fighting does not respect human, does not respect border. He attacks anybody. So if we don't come together to fight, to prevent it, they can attack Nigeria or attack Niger or Chad. So we're still working together. That I can assure you, we're doing that. On the issue of Alero, Alero, the Bia Alero is just like a pseudonym they use for themselves, like a commander or something. So the one they kill is not the same one you saw in Casina. And like you mentioned, yes, sometimes it's when you see you are doing one thing and then somebody else is doing something else. We continue because it's democracy. So we need to continue to dialogue to make the states to also understand that we need to work together. Some of these states have gone to establish vigilante groups and all this thing without adequate training. The model we did in Maiduguri, where the communities were the ones who actually selected the youths. We gave the police and the civil and the DSS, they profiled them to ensure that they are not having any criminal record, they are not criminals. The military trained them, and we attached them to the military. So they were the ones giving information, be able to protect, give us early warning before the enemy comes. So that has saved the situation. But because they are under the control of the military, we have controlled their excesses. Now, when you leave them alone, a lot of them have issues in the past. They want to use this opportunity now to settle those scores. So it creates another problem. And the worst one you can do is when you make it one ethnic group. Now you are creating a problem because now he wants to defend his own ethnic group against others. And then it becomes tit for tat. And then you can't stop that. Before you know it again, unintended consequences, you bring another aspect of it. So it is important. But what I can tell you is what challenges we are facing now, most of them did not start now. They have been there since independence. And because concrete steps have not been taken to address them, grow and grow till the monster they are. And during military regime, because people were afraid of military, when you do something, something will happen. They waited until democracy came, and then the freedom to exercise. And then these people misinterpret freedom to mean to do whatever you feel like, but forgetting the fact that your freedom stops from when you affect somebody's freedom. And that is the point that people have not been able to bring. And for most of the challenges we're having, if we sit down critically and look at them, we can address them because they are man-made. The problem we have in Nigeria are man-made, and if man is ready to solve them, we'll get them. So that's why I'm happy the president has taken the bull by the horn to ensure that he tackles this issue. It is for Nigerians to come together. And the important thing is we must learn to love ourselves. We're already in this country together. Any aspect of fighting because of tribe, religion, and all this will not take us anywhere. We must understand that other countries have gone, if you read the history of other countries, they've gone worse situations like this. But they came and said, look, we cannot continue like this. We must draw a new page. And that's what I think Nigeria has gotten to. We must learn to move forward. We must learn to love ourselves and love our country. And that's what will make the difference for us. The deployments are done. We have seen the gaps we're having. We're talking with the state government because, like I said, a lot of it has to do with politics. You see, boundary demarcation is still there. Farmer headers issue is still issues that can be sorted out. If we're able to do ranches, because what you realize about what's happening is the perception is there's land grabbing. And again, because things were done before. In the past, most communities stayed with Fulanis and their native locals without any problem. If a cow enters a farm and eats a farm, the cow is arrested. The owner of the cow will come and pay compensation. If any animal is mistakenly dies or whatever, compensations are made. It got to a stage where these compensations were not made. Instead, cows were sent into farms to kill. The farmer gets angry. He attacks the animal. The full animal feels his own investment had been dealt to, and then prosecution wasn't there. So impunity setting, and this is where we are today. One, law and order must be there. A criminal is a criminal. You commit a crime, you should suffer for the crime you've committed. Once we start implementing that fully, it will negate these issues and we'll have understanding. But dialogue, we must continue to talk together as brothers and sisters. Or somebody said, or else we will die as fools. And I think we don't want to die. On the issue of intelligence, yes, intelligence is coming in. Like I told you, because of the insider information, that's actual day that it happened. The troops were there. There was a faint attack in another village. When the troops moved in, that's when they now came in to attack this other one. And that's what happens because there are people telling them, okay, the troops are here, the troops are there. I can tell you consistently, if troops are moving on operation, there are people that are monitoring them, tell them 3 vehicles, this number of soldiers, this number of this is what they are doing. People are giving them that information. People take food to them. People take even women to go and give them to tell you how bad it is and how sad the situation is. So That's why we want to preach the aspect of good governance. We believe that if there's good governance and people have a sense of belonging, most of these issues will go down if we address them properly. Border management efforts, the last time I spoke about fencing of the wall, I know there have been pros and cons about it, but I tell you, for me, from what I've seen, it's important that we take decisive action. We must learn how to protect our borders. Somebody mentioned 1,000 and something porous borders. The Sahel is hot. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are going through so much stress. If you leave them the way they are going in the next 1 year, those countries are not, I'm afraid they might collapse. And once they do, Nigeria is the target. And we must be proactive now. So whatever thing we have to do, it's important that we do that as quickly as possible. I think it's very important. Despite the killing, we still hear about killers. Killings will continue. The number of people we said we have killed, how many are they compared to the whole population of over 200 million? We have porous borders. There are people that are empty, not eating. You know, since Libya has fallen, the whole of that Sahel is open. There's free movement of drugs, illegal immigration, light weapons, small arms, all moving. Once your border is empty, all those things are flowing into your border. And like I told you, the attraction is Nigeria, because people believe Nigeria is rich. So that's why the more you are killing, the more are coming in. High rate of unemployment, poverty, illiteracy. It's easier for people to be drawn into crime and criminality. And so those are aspects we are putting. So most of these things are not military solution, like I said. It's a holistic thing that has to be done. To address them, local governments must work. Because if you have a state with 20 local governments, with 20 local government chairmen, crime is localized. Each local government chairman will be dealing with the criminals within his own domain. It will not all come together to the states. And so it will mitigate those things. And so those are the things that we try to preach so that we can get those things. Thank you very much. Some were forced into. Some were used as slaves. They were used for farming. They were used for this and that. Different categories. So we had to take time to sort out these people. Technicalities. So you must do due diligence in what you are doing. All these things take time. It's been done, and it's been done by the Attorney General of the Federation. We are holding the terrorists, but they are doing the sorting out. There is an investigation team independent of us. The Attorney General is the one who prosecutes, and prosecutions have been done. And during investigation, those ones that are found not to be part of it are taken to safe corridor. We have been doing that, and that's why sometimes you hear them going under de-radicalization and other things and being released. So it's a work that has been done. It's something that's is ongoing. We will not stop. We will continue to do that, and we'll continue to arrest and then sort them out. That's how it is for us. Now, how do we address those things? Do we have a national ID card? Do we know how many Nigerians we have? Do you know who is a Nigerian? Your border is open. If any arrest is there, can you do a thumb print and identify who the person is? But if we go abroad, why do you think it's easier for them to arrest somebody when a crime is committed? Because every individual has a number. Your thumbprint, your picture, your address, everything is there. So it's easier for us to trace who you are. But now we have multiplication of, you have the NIN, you have the BNI, you have the what and what, all not linked together. So my advice, let's do a comprehensive census. With technology, we can do census that can capture every Nigerian in the world that is alive. If you go to outside advanced countries, they can tell you this community X, there are 5,000 people. And that 5,000 is what, because they know. If somebody dies, they know. If somebody is, if there's birth, is known. Everything is captured. So it's planning, and it checkmates insecurity. It's just like issue of toll gates. You know, there are some of the things we're looking for comfort. We're jettisoning these things, and these things are all the things coming to play on us. Toll gates are also control measures. If something is stolen, somebody is identified, passing through a toll gate, you will be identified. So you see, those are these are measures that we need to look at as a nation. As we are looking at our border management, we build up a database so that every Nigerian, anything you do, they just tell you, give me your number. When they key in, they know who you are, they know everything about you, which hospital you were born, which school you went to. Nothing is hidden. Those are the things that I think we need to also given to follow up. Yes, Mr. President gave us a directive. We're working on it. That's why the service chiefs, you see them, they're not all here. Everybody's out in the field, making sure that we address this fully. because we want to put this. But like I said, military effort is just 30%. 70% is non-kinetic, and it has to do with good governance, fairness, justice, equity. Because if you are ruling people and the people don't feel that, if you tell somebody to give the peace, yes, and he's hungry or he's unemployed, there are easy tools to be used. So we must put all this together. That's why I say it's a whole of society approach to asymmetric warfare. And that's why it's very important. I don't know if I've missed anyone. The issue of resurgence, like I said, the Sahel on its own is what is bringing the pressure to Nigeria. The Sahel is open. You know, we have an ungoverned space from Sudan. You know that Sudan is on fire. Central African Republic has issue. Libya is open. All the arms and ammunition and everything they have there is an ungoverned space. So movement, and that's why this immigration you see in this Japan, how many of Nigerians you see them traveling through the desert? It's all this playing out. They're putting the pressure into Nigeria. And that's why we need to be holistic in our approach in addressing these issues clearly. Issue of retirees, no. The armed forces, I think, is one organization that I think has been doing well. Yes, you might say maybe the money might not be enough, but then they are being paid their allowances. That one, you are paying a moment before you go. The armed forces is doing the best. They are also available. Our hospitals and these things are there. Now, efforts are being made by the federal government to also make sure that we look into the issue of housing for all of them. Any of them that has any issue on any allowance is taken care of. Yes, sometimes there might be delay. It affects everybody. You know, Nigeria is going through stress, so it's not like they're spread, but I can tell you that they're being taken care of. Their salaries are paid. Just recently, we've gone through using improved ICT to make sure that instead of bringing them you find that every quarter or so, they bring them to come for verification. Now, no, it has been decentralized. You can stay where you are and verify, and we know who you are. What we found out again, there is a lot of issues on it. Sometimes you find a lot of discrepancies. So efforts are being made to ensure that we address them very well. Okay, okay, good. My chief of finance is here, so let's hear from him. Ability, which is very, very critical. Like he mentioned, the families, we pay families, sponsor the family of anybody who has died till university. The armed forces does that, all true. And so many things, the medical aspect that's followed, it's not, we're not doing, we wish we could do more. But again, we are also taking from the purse, from the resources available. But I can tell you, we're not throwing our people away. The welfare of our men is very important, like I mentioned, because the way you treat those ones that have left will determine the ones that are serving their level of commitment. And we are very, very mindful of that, and we will continue to do that. Those of them that went, you watch the clips, some of them told you they were taken to Germany, some people were taken to Dubai, Egypt, all because of treatment. And that calls for the importance for us to be able to develop our own medical system so that we don't need to go out. Because you can imagine how much money it costs to take one person out. That money will treat more people on ground if they are here in Nigeria. So I'm happy that we have new hospitals that are also coming into Nigeria, and we're hopeful that they will be cheap enough and kind enough to also extend. I've met a few hospital proprietors that are willing to also assist members at their own contribution to the peace effort, and I think that's what we should try to increase. Well, when we say want to rate our performance, well, I don't know. I don't want to go into figures and all these things. All I'm saying is that Abuja Kaduna Road is free. If you go there at night, you see the number of people moving. Schools are opening, markets are opening. For us, those are indicators that things are getting better. And once you go from insurgency and you start seeing this little idea of criminality, because that's how it starts. It goes up. Once it starts coming down, it goes down like that. Like in the South, because now they don't have ability to break pipeline, do all this stuff, they started piracy, doing robbery, minor robberies and all this, to show you that they cannot get to their objective. So, and that is why I said law and order. Every society must be able to have law and order being implemented. Criminals must be dealt with as criminals. Like I'm happy somebody mentioned the issue of cases pending, or you give bail. These are not things what the military can do. Because you know, we cannot even prosecute. Whatever we do, we hand over. And so it has meant we can only prosecute our own personnel to some extent. Now with human rights, in those days, in Liberia, an officer shot another person and killed him. He was court-martialed, tied to the stake, and shot. Case finished. But do that nowadays, the whole country will be uproar that you're trying to kill people. So you see, those are the things, the dynamics that are also affecting our system. Because the military law is military law, it has its own standard that we follow. But because of human rights and our civility, so we have to obey those things. So it bends the law. And once people cannot see the repercussion for their action, impunity sets in. And it is that impunity that we're in now. You take somebody to court, he gives you, he's given a bail, and the case is gone. It's not what the military can do. So those are the things we're appealing that we should look into it and be able to address. Strategies, there are so many. And with asymmetric warfare, it's not like the conventional. Conventional is country to country. You know who your enemy is. Now we're dealing, you don't know who the enemy is. That person that is smiling with you could be the enemy. So you see, it makes it more dangerous and more difficult. There were issues that we had, we do clearance operation, we go into communities, they will just bury their weapons and come out and tell you. And if the man is not carrying arms, to you, you can't determine. You pass and go. Behind you, he digs out those things and attacks you from the rear. This is what we constantly face. So when these things happen and actions are taken, then you hear people coming with human rights. But one question I always ask of as Nigerians, have you ever wondered when we are succeeding so much, that's when this so-called human rights or amnesty come after us? How many of them have been talking about the other wars presently ongoing? So why is it only our own that they are interested in? These are questions that we should ask ourselves. And there are some people, remember some people said 2015 Nigeria was going to pack up. This is 2020, 2025. 10 years later, we're still strong. So it's not everybody that means us well. And our ability to identify who are our friends and who are our enemies as a nation is critical in what we are doing. So I think these are areas we want to continue to do. From sports magazine, yes, I don't know whether you're covering our sporting events a lot. Yesterday we just finished the CDS Independence basketball competition, and because we see one thing I feel, growing up we had the privilege, like we all know, I was born and raised in Sokoto. Growing up we had primary school sports, secondary school sports, university sports that engaged youth all through the year. Now do we have that? So we have so many youths not doing anything, they become willing tools. We need to go back to things like sports. Nigeria is a talented country in every sport. With that, we can do and engage a lot of people. That will be their source of livelihood. Just like movies and Nollywood and all this things. So we need to open up this, and that's why I said is the whole of society approach to tackling insecurity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So now take the last set of questions.
Most of the times when we succeeded, it was because we were always there with the communities. In fact, we had phone-in session where people all over Maiduguri, Northeast, could call and talk to us. And that transparency, that sense of purpose, I think endeared us into them. And so I think it's important. That's something we'll continue to do. We'll build up. I think Army has you have an emergency call number.
Yes.
Yes, you have an emergency. I think we'll also build up more so that we give opportunities when things are happening. We should be able to get. I want to thank Nigerians. Gradually, we're getting information from all over. Communities are calling to tell us this is it, and then we try as much as possible to take action. Because that's another thing. Sometimes it's frustrating when you give an information and nothing is done, or you give an information and the person gets compromised. So we try to avoid those things. And I can assure you that Nigerians are doing a lot supporting us in ensuring we do that. We'll continue to do that. The Nigerian Army has a language school where we do French and other languages, and we also encourage our officers to ensure. For me, I think we need to do a national orientation on the issue of languages. Sometimes you hear somebody, when you see somebody maybe from one tribe and you call him from another tribe, no, as if it's a taboo. It's the greatest mistake we're making. Anywhere you are, learn the local language. It helps you. I have traveled around the world and I realized that once you can speak the language, the acceptance is different. And I think it should be made compulsory for us, for every Nigerian to be able to at least the 3 major languages. Because it really, really unites us and we build that synergy that we're looking for. As long as we keep on saying, no, I am not this, I am not that, I am not that, we can't build up that. Countries are coming together. I don't know why we think we want to be separated or want to be doing things to make us apart. We must learn to work together. I think that's very, very critical. Professor, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And Mr. Ahmad, totally, okay, I think we'll address those issues. So I don't know if there's any other one. I think we've handled all. Okay, yes.
and of utmost importance. As we all are aware, our country continues to grapple with the diverse security challenges. Initiatives such as this that aim at bridging the information gap between the armed forces and the public deserve our utmost commendation. Transparency, collaboration, and strategic communication are indispensable tools in our collective effort to secure the nation. Let me begin by affirming that the armed forces of Nigeria belong to all Nigerians. Their successes are our collective successes, just as their challenges are of significant concern to us. It is therefore imperative that every Nigerian understand this important symbiotic relationship. National security is not the burden of the military alone. It is a sacrosanct national duty for all citizens. In this regard, consistent and honest communication between the military and media and the populace is essential. The role of the media in this partnership cannot be overemphasized. As the fourth extent of the realm, the media is a veritable megaphone of the nation and a vital bridge between the government and the public. Your responsibility in ensuring accurate, timely, and constructive reportage is crucial in shaping public perception and maintaining morale between the military and among the citizenry. However, with the responsibility comes the need for balanced reportage and professionalism, as well as commitment to the national interest above all. All of stakeholders, your insights, timely advice, and unwavering support go a long way in strengthening the operational effectiveness of our armed forces. The national security is a multidimensional undertaking that requires the input of all segments of society, especially those with influence and voices. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to commend the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs for their deliberate, focused, and tireless effort in tackling the multifaceted security threats facing our nation. The leadership of the armed forces has been both strategic and pragmatic, demonstrating clarity of vision and firm resolve. On my part, as the Honorable Minister of Defense, I've always tried to ensure that our troops remain inspired, fully equipped, and mission-focused. You will agree with me that we are yet to be where we should be, but with the commitment of the CDS, service chiefs, and our gallant troops, we will soon be there. We recognize the enormity of the task between us. However, it will be equally unjust to acknowledge the progress that has been, and not to acknowledge the progress that has been made. Despite negative narratives in some quarters, there is tangible evidence that we are turning the tide against the insurgents, the bandits, and other criminal elements. Progress may not be fast, but it is undoubtedly incremental and real, but we must sustain the momentum. Let me at this juncture reflect on strength, weakness, opportunities, and strength sought for short of our engagement. It is evident that our armed forces possess considerable strength. Chief among these is interagency collaboration, especially in the realm of intelligence gathering and sharing. However, we also recognize our limitations, particularly in terms of equipment and logistics support. I must note that addressing these gaps remains a top priority for our Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose unwavering support has been instrumental in the ongoing transformation of the armed forces of Nigeria. In the face of adversity, there are always opportunities. From challenges emerge innovation, resilience, and renewed purpose. But we must also be mindful of the threats that go beyond physical attacks. Misinformation, especially through unverified social media, can be just as dangerous. Whoever controls the media narrative controls the public sentiment. It is therefore my sincere appeal to the media: do not grant our adversary the advantage by prioritizing sensationalism over national security. Let us report with responsibility and patriotism. I would like to draw the attention of the CDS on the performance of our armed forces radio. They are monitored in 7 states, and they are turning out highly educative and entertaining programs. This armed forces radio needs support and encouragement to be able to cope with other media outlets. In conclusion, I wish to once again commend the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chief for their exemplary stewardship over the past 2 years. Your leadership restored hope, reinforced professionalism, and rejuvenated our military structure. I also commend our troops who are at the front line to keep the nation safe. My profound gratitude goes to the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his visionary leadership and steadfast commitment to the welfare and modernization of the armed forces.